Hi, can you hear me? Hello. Hello. Sorry, I didn't know there was like an inactivity on my I didn't know there was an inactivity on my um device, but I believe you should be able to hear me now. Really sorry about that. Okay, so let's continue. So what I was saying before now was it's a new year, happy new year. I'm just gonna repeat myself again, then I did the video later and cut out the other things I was saying before. So happy new year, and I hope you've had a good entry into the new year. Sorry for uh, the backlogs we had last year. We had 2 months of backlog, and I'm really sorry about that. I really wish I could take that back, but nah, not possible. But yeah, so this year, if there's anything you're going to be adding this year, or anything you should be doing this year, you should make sure that this year you try to be consistent. I know you've written uh all your New Year resolutions, you've written all the things you want to do this year, but one thing you have to add this year is make sure you are consistent. Yeah, that's like um it's very important that you're consistent so that you can complete what you're doing or whatever thing you plan to put your mind into achieving, you know. So be consistent. So without wasting so much of your time, one thing I should note again is this year, most of the classes is going to be done. Like all our classes are going to be live based now, and the schedule has been sent to your emails. So please check your emails consistently. The schedule has been sent to your emails already. So check your emails consistently. And um, for each of the classes, you'd have to come is like it's going to be like 4 hours classes. Sorry, not 4 hours. That's 4 hours in a week. That's 20 to 45 minutes, 20 to 45 minutes, 20 to 45 minutes, and uh, each day, by starting from 6 p.m. So I expect everyone to come. The live classes are important because then you can ask questions on the live classes because it's going to be difficult to answer when it's not on live session. Right, so we're going to spend 20 to 45 minutes on each class every day. And the reason why I've had to put it on 20 to 45 minutes is so that you can learn and assimilate things because I realize that when I teach for a long, lengthy period, it's difficult for people to follow up, you know. So that's the essence of the 20 to 45 minutes class. And I also thought about it, and to make things easier, we're going to be using a third-party learning platform, you know, with giving credits to them. So I'll be using other people's resources to teach you and explain their resources better so that you can get a deeper understanding, right? And for CSS class, we're going to be using Free Code Camp. I will show you Free Code Camp. So you can visit freecodecamp.org, create an account with them, and and you can see their course content. Free Code Camp is a free tool, you know, for developers whoever wants to just start a career in um development, in software development. You can use Free Code Camp, right? Like I said, I've been introducing to cascading style sheets today, but let me tell you about Free Code Camp first. So this is Free Code Camp, right? If you are looking to start a career in tech and you don't know anything, you can come to Free Code Camp. They have free courses, over 9,400 plus tutorials, right? That could help you grow. But they have like how they arrange it. So if you want verified certification, you can get certification from them, and you see this whole course outlets here, you know, responsive design, Java algorithms, blah blah blah. So most of a lot of things you can learn, but it's not really structured. But one thing I can do for you is we're going to follow through this course, and I'll give you the ones that you need to learn, and I'll teach you through it. Right? We'll be using that course content, and I'll teach you through it. Right? So that's the essence of this what we'll be doing. So we'll follow through each of them and we'll be consistent around it and we learn what they teach. And I'm going to expand more on what we have been taught from here. Right. So without wasting so much time, let me just go straight. So today we're going to start with learning. We've done HTML. The blog is currently down, but it will be back up before the end of the week. right? So if you have issues understanding what HTML is and how HTML works, you can go back to the blog and learn. Then to test your knowledge, you can click on the start project here. So you can see this simple project that was built here. So you try and build this project yourself. So you see it's just a simple cat photo app that shows a text with a link, an image, um, an image that has a link, as you can see. A cat, a heading again, heading with the list, an image that has a caption here, so with this character in it, so go through it and see how you can replicate this design, right? And to test your HTML knowledge. And if you can replicate it, it's a good thing, then it shows that you are really learning something, So, means you've really learned. But if you're still having issues with HTML, you can go back to the blog and you learn more about HTML on the blog, right? So the blog is currently down, but it will be back up before the end of the week. Then now, we'll start with basic CSS today. So I'll teach you what CSS is, how CSS works, the importance of CSS, right? And we'll work by the end of this course. We're supposed to be building something like this, right? As you can see, this is the project we're going to build by the end of this, and we should be finishing CSS this month, right? So probably preferably before the end of the week, we should be done with this, right? And this is what we'll be building by the end of the week. As you can see, it's just a simple coffee menu, as you see, with a background coffee. It has this rectangular body here, then a header, a little text here, and a horizontal line, this centered in the middle, putting this to the left and putting this to the right, So how to be able to do all these things here with CSS. So you see what CSS does, how it beautifies your page, things like that. So we're going to do all this this week, right? So the goal of this thing is to teach you extensively so you know how to go about things, you know how to do your things, So I'll teach you this so you can also follow up tutorials on your own, right? And if you want to learn more, if you want to practice, you can practice with their inbuilt editor, you know. So yeah, so you can register with Free Code Camp. They have best courses that you can use to learn. You can search for many other courses if you later in the future after you finish with me. If you want to still learn some more courses, you can go to Free Code Camp. So by the end of this course, I'll be giving credit to Free Code Camp, although I don't have rights to this course. It's not my course, like I said before, it's their course. I'm just going to use it to teach you, right? So let us continue. Um, so starting today's course, we'll start with CSS, learn the basic CSS by building a cafe menu. Like I said, this project based. So what is CSS? CSS is cascading style sheets. It tells the browser how to display your web page. You can use CSS to set the colors, fonts, font size, the size of of a text, an image, and other aspects of an HTML element. So you have, remember I talked about HTML elements and what HTML used in building the building blocks of your web page, then CSS is used in beautifying those building blocks, So when you're having a house, when you have a house, what does the blueprint and building a house is the HTML. Then now, what does the beautifying, the coloring of the house, setting that okay, this should not be the blocks here should be like double blocks, should be longer, things like that. The whole arrangement, that's what CSS does. So CSS is to help beautify, is to help show how you want to display something on the web page. If you have an image, how do you want to display this image? CSS help you doing that. It helps you do that. If you want the image to be circular, if you want the image to be rectangular, if how you want to display that image, CSS helps in doing that. So let's go straight into the business of the day. So we'll start the first session, which says here's a preview of what we're building. As I told you before, and now we'll start coding. So this is why I'm using Free Code Camp, right? The reason I'm using Free Code Camp is the fact that Free Code Camp allows me to be able to use an online code editor here to practice. So they give you step by step things to do You go step by step and you keep learning, and they tell you things to do. So you do, you check your code, you see the results here, right? As you can see, you see the results here. So you code, they tell you, you see the results there. So that's why I love free code camp, right? So it said as you learned in the few steps of the cat photo app, that was what was built previously before. There's a basic structure that you need to start building your web page. I've told you this before in your HTML class, that you should. So now they say you should add doc type HTML tag and an HTML elements with a lang um, attributes, right? So it's just very simple. You can do this on your own. If you have your what they call it, your VS Code, you can also do this with your VS Code. You don't have to follow to use the live editor, right? But the reason I'm doing this is normally I would have gone way past this, but I'm doing this because of the beginners here. I realize that most of my courses are not only for people who are experienced, they're also for beginners too. So I'm also doing this for my beginners, for those who are also beginners, right? So they can easily understand. And if you feel that the teaching is so slow for you, you can by all means, please, you can go into, like, maybe you can go ahead of me, with the free code camp lecture. So just, you don't have to wait for me. You can continue with the free code camp lecture. You don't have to wait for me. So uh yeah, sorry, I wanted to quickly do something, and we're back. And yeah, so this is your normal HTML. So it says lang English. So this is how you write it. So now it says add doc type HTML tag. And the reason why I love free code camp also is the fact that you're learning, it's giving you a task while you're writing. So it's more like you are you are not just how do I put it? It's giving you a task while you're writing. So it's testing your knowledge while you're building something. So you're learning and you're having a test of knowledge. That's why you should use free code camp for beginners, as a beginner, right? And you can check your code, and they tell you, hey, see, congratulations, your code passes, submit your code to continue. So this is how we're doing. We're going step by step by step, doing each step along the way to finish CSS, right? And this week, we want to finish all this week. So I hope you follow through and you watch me do it. And I explain at every point in time. For each step, I explain. So this I'm not going to explain because it's already on HTML, right? And I talked about HTML before. So it's when it gets to CSS, I'm also going to be explaining. So let's submit and go to the next challenge. So step two. Step two says um, add a head elements within the HTML elements. So you can add a title, add a title. The title element should be cafe menu. So you have to add a head element, right? And I told you it's still HTML stuff. So inside the head elements, you have a title, right? And they said the title has to be what? Cafe menu. Right, so now you can go and you check your code. I think this might be too little for you to see, so yeah. So submit and go. It says congratulations, your code passes. Submit and go. So this is how you do. Before you know, you're already learning. And if you make a mistake, you can always retry. You know, that's the fun part of it. So it said the title is one of the several elements that provides extra information not visible to the web page. Not visible on the web page, but it's useful for search engines. I've explained all this before. Inside the head elements, next a meta elements with an attribute named char set. So you can have like meta, and you have chassis equals to uh, UTF 8. Check a code. Oh, sorry, that was my mistake. And yeah, so you see everything, the meta elements. So we can go, and now to prepare to create some actual content, add a body element below head. So now you have to add your body element. This is just your building blocks for HTML, like I told you before. And I need to check something while in, well, I think we'll continue like that. So I'm very conscious of the time, so I would always check so we don't spend so much time. Well, since 1 minute's gone already, so we still have like 10 more minutes. So yeah, so it's a builder, yeah. So I've done the body, keep progressing like that, and submit and go to the next one. Now it says it's time to add some menu content, add a main element within the existing body elements, right? It will eventually contain pricing informations and blah blah blah. So it says you add a main element in between the existing content elements. So yeah, you see, I wanted the main element. And what did it tell you to do? It said to virtually contain price informations about coffee and desserts ordered. So now let's submit and go. So the next one now it said name of the cafe is Campa Cafe. Add H1 element within your main elements, right? So um sorry. Now it says Campa Cafe. So you see, if you want to see the result of what we're doing now, right? So you can come here. Sorry. Yeah, so you can come here and you see what we're doing now. See, just reflected here now. So the reason why you didn't see the other ones was because those were like things that are not visible. These are like your um head. This one like holds information about your website that can only be seen by our search engine on the head tag, right? Then this one now is the things that is now visible to the body tag, right? So this is it. So we've had the first one. We've had the first. These are not visible, right? Only visible to search engines. And this one you see on your homepage, right? And that's why you have Campa Cafe showing all here. And like I said, reason why I like if you want to have an external preview, right? We could just do this. Sorry. Um, so yeah, so you can have an external preview here. I think that's good. So you see this, an external preview. So if you make changes here, let's say I change this to cafes, and let's see what happens here. I seen it. So yeah. So rather have that one, I think we could use this one like this. So Campa Cafe. Now let's check our code. It's all good. Now the next step thing it says to let visitors know that the cafe was found in 2020, add a P element below H1. Right? So it says you add a P element below H1. Remember H1 P has a closing tag. So now I said what should you write there? So establish in when 2020. So if I go back here to preview, I should see this, as you can see. So now let's Submit and go to the next challenge. Now it says, what's the next step? It says there will be two sections on the menu, one for the coffees and one for the desserts, right? Add a section element within the main, so you have a place to put all the coffees available. So we have to create sections, right? So we have section one, right? And I've added a section. Now, what's the next step? It says create an H2 element in the section element and give it the text coffee. So we're creating H2 elements and we are giving it what the text what coffee. So this might be boring to you, but we're just trying to create the building blocks. And I'm taking it step by step so you can follow and you know what's going on at each steps, right? So I'm not going to be explaining much here because you already know what all these things are. These are like your basic HTML. So I already explained all this on the blog, so I won't be going deeper into it, right? And what's the next step? Uh, so the next step it says, oh sorry, I didn't do the next step, right? So up until now, you have been limited regarding to the presentation. To start taking control, add a style. So now you need to add a style. So now this is where we start working with CSS. So now, like I said, CSS is a styling sheet that helps style the building blocks of your HTML, right? And there are three types of styling in CSS. There's the inline styling, the external styling, and internal styling. So the inline styling is where you would have to put the style in between this your HTML tag, right? Something like this, and you can do this, right? This is inline styling. Now there's internal styling. Now internal styling is now where you write your HTML styling either in your head tag or so yeah in the head tag. So you can do something like this, and you close, sorry, yeah. So with this now you can then start writing your CSS, right? Your CSS command styling, or let's see your styling, write your styling here, and this is going to give you internal styling. And external styling is where you link it, using the oops. So you link it using this, and you can then call it from an external file, right? So sorry, you link it. I'll show you an example of that later. So the tax CSS up until now you have been limited regarding to presentation and appearance of the content you create. So you see we can't make this go to the middle. If you look at this, right now we can't move this to the middle. We can't change the color of this. You can't make this either go to far right. You can't make it go far right. You can't make it go this place. You can't put it in the middle. You know, all these things that you can't do, these are limitations. Now we're going to see how we can create this ability to be able to be free around it, to play with this content. So, and what helps you do that is CSS. So now we're going to add a style. So we're going to do, so now it says up until to start taking control, add a style element in your head. So what we're doing right now is called internal styling, right? So it's where you put the style elements on the head tag, inside the head tag or of your HTML, right? So this is internal styling. Hmm? Now let's see what's the next step. So it says you can add to an element by specifying it in the style element and setting a property for it like this. So center your H1 by setting its text align property to the value center. So you see, sorry, I haven't written that. So this is my style, right? That I created. And now I want to make my H1 property. So you can either style an element. There are different types of styling, right? You can style elements, you can style the ID, or you can style the class, right? We'll take all those things one by one. So now I want to show us element styling. So element styling is where you call the tag itself. This is an element, right? Body is an element. Main is an element, right? H1 is an element. So if I style H1, right, it means that in this my HTML template, this is my HTML script that I wrote now. Anything that has H1 would have that feature. For example, let me just show you a quick example. So let's say this is H1 element, right? So this is a template that they showed you. This is a template. You write the element name, you put the curly brace, and the property. Property is the CSS property, and the value, that's what you want it to be, right? So H1, then my curly braces, right? Then the property, which is what text align. Sorry, I'm using a keyboard that is not I'm not used to, and I have to keep finding most of all these characters in it. It's really difficult. I use a US or UK keyboard or so, but this is like a Swiss keyboard arrangement, and it's really difficult to find things. Yeah, sometimes it's thank God for JavaScript that I don't have to write semicolon always again. So yeah, so you see, and Python, let's write semicolon always again. If not, it'll have been a serious problem for me, and that was why it's, I'm not actively coding Java right now because of all these little issues. So yeah, so you see, that was a mistake. I was supposed to get the text align center, yeah. So now you should, if I should preview, I would see that this has moved from here and is now on the center to show you my complete screen. So you see it. So you see this guy is now on the center. So now you see what I'm trying to tell you. This one is now on the center. So uh sorry. So yeah. So it's as simple as that. If now anything that has H1 is going to move to the center because I've styled H1 in that body. Right. Let's say I create a new content and I let's say I create a new content and I call it inside this section, I call it H1. A new content that has the H1, right? Let's see. So let's say I create a new content that has H1 also, right? And I call it this is me checking, right? And I say check your code again, you know, and I go to preview. Now you see any content that has H1 now goes to the middle, right? Because I have styled H1, the element H1 here. So anything that has H1 goes to that middle because I've styled this element H1. Do you understand? So that is how you style an element, right? If I styled the body, let's say I replace this with body, right? And I say submit and go. Well, it should okay now the the editor is restricted, so it's only going to work based on the steps given. Right. So now there's a new one. It said in the previous step you use type selector, right, to style the H1 elements. Center H2 and P elements by adding a new type selector for each one of the styling elements. Right. So it says you should do the same thing for what? For H2 and P. Oh, not HP. So you see, now if I do a preview now, all should be in the middle right now. Let's do a preview and see. All has moved to the middle because I have styled everything here. I've styled H1, I've styled P, and I've styled H2. I told all of them to go to what? The middle, right? Because I've said H1, P, and H2 go to the middle. Everything is now in the middle. So now the next thing it says is what it says. Yeah, let's submit and go to the next one. And I think I should be considering stopping pretty soon because I think our time is almost gone. But yeah. So the next one says you now have three type selectors with the exact same styling. You can add the same group of styles, right, to many elements by creating a list of selectors. Each selector is separated with commas like this. So now, once in our programming, the first rule of development, of being a developer, is never repeat yourself, right? And this is the rule that anyone who's creating a program, anyone who's creating anything, they always try to make sure they don't do it. And that's why even in CSS, even take just as to the point of even designing, in CSS, to not repeat yourself. Like look at this code base, right? We have H1, which is still this, the same selector, the same type selector, the same styling. H2, the same styling. P, the same styling. And you keep writing. Imagine if you're having like a lot of things that's going to have the same styling, and it's only this styling is going to have. I mean, it's wrong to have keep repeating them. You can just do a common set, just do this, remove all this, right? Since they're all the same thing, just do comma H2 and comma P. And now all of them have the same, this three will pick the same style, so you can do this, check your code, you can preview, and you see still the same thing, no difference. Like it doesn't change a thing, it's still going to maintain the same thing that it got, right? So now I think for me, because I've promised not to waste too much of the time, um, we've already 37 minutes gone. I knew I spent about 7 minutes in. I knew I spent about 7 minutes in talking earlier, but yeah. So this is basically an introductory class to CSS. We're still going to do more this week. Like I said, the goal of this week is to see how we can finish this whole content. Right, this whole content. I'm going to break it down per. We have like 91 contents, and we have 5 days, so we should be doing from this to this, 13 to 40 or 50 tomorrow, then 50 to 70 and 70 to 91. They are pretty easy things to do. It's just taking it one by one, taking one by one, and you're going to be done. That's the essence of this. I'm using free code camp content because the content is well explanatory and you're practicing as you're learning. So you won't even realize it. You won't realize that you're learning something new until you've noticed that you've gone so far and you're like, oh, you've learned something new, And I think I have to be speaking more Nigerian now so that my people understand me better. So the thing is, we just have to you the major reason I'll have taught all these things on my own and start teaching you off my head and everything, but I feel it's better it's structured, it's better it's been followed through a learning process, yeah. And that's why I'm using free code camp. So that will be the end of today's class. Um, I hope you can still practice ahead of me if you want to. But those who are still beginners and who wants to follow the course, like I said, the course is majorly for beginners who want to grow from being a new person to a higher class, and that's why I'm using free code camp. Um, so that's the end of this class, yeah. If you have any questions, you can send to me on the Telegram group chat. You can still invite your friends. I will still do a recap. They can watch the previous videos. Let your friends know this is a new year. Help a person get into tech. It's a new year. Help a person get into tech. I think it should be an operation. Help a person get into tech. The world is changing. Africans need to start embracing new technologies. I believe most of you have seen what ChatGPT is doing. You know, it's really painful to not to think about things like this. We have people doing disrupting technology. Technologies outside Africa, here in the Western world, people doing a lot of things. And what's trending in the Western world? Fintech. You know, you see someone doing this pay, that pay, this tech, this wallet, that wallet. I mean, are we not tired of having different kind of wallets and different kind of pays in Africa? We should start doing some disruptive technology. Let's play with AI. Start playing with AI. Start playing with things that are good. And because of people are thinking about these things, but many people don't have the the knowledge set to do all these things, and that's the essence. So help people get this knowledge, help people know about what is going on. If you have opportunities, tell your brothers. We need, as Africans, we need to be able to support each other, and we need to be able to grow our knowledge base. Chat GPT isn't something that big. It's working under an API, right? And the API, the company who owns the API are the owners of the software also. But do you know you can build something like ChatGPT? It's pretty simple. It's just a search engine that is working under OpenAI, right? Send a request to OpenAI. OpenAI gives you your results. That's all. You know. I plan releasing a tutorial this week on how to use ChatGPT to build as a software developer. Do not watch it if you're just learning how to code because it's going to spoil you. Uh, any developer who is just learning how to code shouldn't use ChatGPT. Honestly, it's going to spoil you. It's just like calculator with someone who is still learning how to do one plus one. You can't a child who's still learning how to do one plus one shouldn't be using calculator because it's going to spoil the child. Think it beat as it may, because when a child starts seeing that there's a better means to solve those things, and you wouldn't want to learn how to do 9 plus 9, which is bad. So I won't advise you to use ChatGPT, right? So don't watch that video. Instead, give to someone who is already developing and wants to use ChatGPT as a means to improve, right? So I'll do a video on that before the end of the week. I plan building a game with ChatGPT, and I'll show you how I do it. Consuming an AI tool, using it to build another AI tool. All right, so that's the end of today's class. I hope you enjoyed the session. See you tomorrow, please. Same time, same venue. I'll leave it at.